Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the American P-51 sitting at 3.3 battle rating in rank 2. This is one of the golden oldies, isn't it? An early plane with 4 cannons, Mustang. Needs a little bit of climbing, but once you get her up there, one of the early examples of boom and zooming. Very entertaining to play even now at this late stage in the game. This is a fantastic plane to run with. Great stopping power in those 4 20mm and a great plane when coming from altitude. Really awesome. I really like the Mustang line, of course. Most Mustangs are a little bit better in the flying characteristics than this plane, also because this plane has 4 20mm cannons in the wings and is an earlier design of the Mustang. So not as good as the later ones, but still a very entertaining plane, as I said. Now, before we get into the details of this plane, do make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Really helps out a lot. Leave me a comment if you have something to say about this plane or about the matches that I flew, and do make sure to subscribe if you have not yet. Of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, there's a lot more content coming, so don't miss anything of it. Also, I'd like to ask you to join me on my locals page and on Rumble. The links of those are in the description below. Now, as you see, we are taking the E1 into the vertical. Now, the E1, of course, is a great plane, and this is a down tier, so that is nothing too terrible. But 109s are great in the vertical, so you do have to be careful of the energy state that you use when you do that, because this plane is quite heavy. It's not the greatest power to weight ratio comparisons to some of the best energy fighters out there, but still CC is not bad, and you do have to get up to altitude to make this plane work, so that means a little bit of side climbing sometimes. But anyway, the maximum speed in this plane at sea level without WEP is 540 kilometers an hour. With WEP 587. At 4,500 meters this is 485 without and 493 with. And finally at 6,500 meters you can take this plane to 414 without WEP and 418 with. Now these speeds are in indicated airspeed without Mach. The speeds at the deck are fantastic. It becomes a little bit less good at the higher altitudes. Also, the war emergency power efficiency goes down quite a bit, even already at 4,500 meters. But anyway, this is still a boom and zoomer, and you still have to get up there with a climb rate that is not spectacular. But once you get there, the dive performance is great. The top speed in a dive is 812 before she redlines and 900 before she rips apart. 900 is quite good, right? I mean, that is jet speed in many occasions. Not later jets, but the earlier jets, and that is fantastic for a plane like this. That is what the Mustangs are good at. High speeds. She also rolls better when she is at high speeds. Between 350 and 700 is the ideal window for the roll rate in this plane, and that's also where one of the control stiffening ticks lies. At 700 you really notice a small tick in the aileron compression where it becomes a little bit worse. She compresses a little bit at 700, but only a little bit, and it stays actually good until you crash into the ground or rip the wings off the roll rate in a dive. So it's no problem getting many targets, get the guns on them in a high speed dive, because this plane is actually good at it. So great handling in a dive, excellent top speed in a dive for a 3.3 battle rating. Stall speed in this plane is 115. Now, as that is not spectacular, but it's also not bad, especially not for a plane with this amount of weight in the armament department. The firepower in this plane is excellent. You run with 4 20mm Hispano Mark IIs with 125 rounds per gun. Above average to decent ammo load with those 125 rounds. Many early 20mm have 100 rounds or 60 even. So it's not half bad in that sense. It's also Hispano Mark IIs, so that's also great. This plane cannot be equipped with bombs nor rockets. It doesn't have anything to ground pound with. Unfortunately, it's a pure fighter in the end. You have several belts that are viable: the universal belt, the air belt, which I used, the ground belt, and the tracer belts. Stealth belt also already good, of course. You have the later shells in these belts, so that is quite good. The universal belt has a high explosive incendiary shell with a semi-API shell and an AP shell and a tracer shell. Now that is a little bit of a mixed shell, of course. The air belt has a tracer, high explosive incendiary, SAPI, another high explosive incendiary, another SAPI. So that is a great belt when it comes to damage. Air, a little bit less versatile, but more towards the damage side, more high explosive stuff in there, and incendiary shells. Ground belt has more AP, tracers has a mix of AP, tracers and high explosive incendiary, and then stealth has 2 times high explosive incendiary, a SAPI round and an AP round, which is also a great belt, by the way. Great high explosive filler in incendiary and an AP shell, with no tracers for the surprise factor. That is always quite nice. Now the performance in this plane is in the acceleration good in a straight line, very good acceleration in a dive. She really picks up, especially not initial dive acceleration, which is just good as usual, but it starts to become very good after a while. She really likes to speed up, and then at around 700 starts to slow down again. The energy retention in the horizontal is great, in the vertical very good. This plane is really nice when it comes to energy retention, and can hold her speed for a very long time. When you come from a dive, and you can, if you put it into a shallow climb, you can, you know, get your altitude back to a large extent. Not quite, she isn't one-on-one when it comes to that. Not many planes are, but it's quite decent. Climb rate, as I said, is above average, decent, nothing bad there. You need to keep her a little bit faster than most early planes. Most early planes can climb the best below 270 in speed, but this plane needs a little bit more speed to climb ideally. Turn time in this plane is below average, average with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 700 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely amazing when it comes to flaps. You cannot really rip these flaps off easily, and even in a long time in a dive you can use them as a sort of an air brake, so that's good. Roll rate in the plane is above average to decent. She's above average before 350 and after 700, and decent between 350 and 700. She's not as good yet as the later Mustangs at high speed rolling, but this plane is still better at rolling when she is at high speed, and that is good to have in a boom and zoomer, for sure. The maneuverability in this plane overall then is average. Overheating in this plane is very present, especially with WEP. It does need some management, but I mean, it doesn't cool off like some of the other planes the Americans have in this rank, in this around this battle rating, but it's still not bad, not bad. The durability is actually good. It feels like a tank, can take some good damage and still fly home. So I found this plane very survivable, and feels very good when it comes to taking damage. You can still fly her often, and that's a good thing to have. The repair cost is 2,763 Silver Lions. That lies somewhere above average. It's not bad, but there's better planes when it comes to repair cost. Rewards in this plane: 390% research point modifier and a 165% Silver Lion booster. Now, the research points one is very good. It's one of the best at the battle rating, so a great grinder for unlocking the tree. And the Silver Lion one is above average, which is alright, so all in all quite good. The way to fly this plane really is as a boom and zoomer. You need to take your time in this plane. It's not the greatest climber, it's not super bad, but you need side climbing in this plane. You won't be the highest plane initially. You need to take your time, get to the side, watch the battle unfold, and just keep climbing. until you see people engaging and losing altitude, diving on people, and then you can go into the middle. Really, trust me, this plane is best used as that late comer who booms and zooms on the enemy, especially when the enemy is between you and your allies being lower, and the enemy is trying to pick them off. And then you coming from above, sweeping in, being the savior, is one of the greatest things in this plane. You can really make a huge difference for your team that way, and you should not go into the middle too early, take a head on with these 420s and then get damaged or also killed, and try to get your one kill. I know that's the tactic that many people use these days, because well, let's say the 25-minute timer doesn't really encourage better gameplay. It encourages to get your points quickly and take some more risks, which is unfortunate because that doesn't fit the playstyle of this plane. You need to be patient in this plane, you need to side climb, you need to then read the battle and pick off your enemies one by one as you make your way down, all the while boom and zooming, and of course energy fighting here and there. I mean, this is not a turn fighter, but she can definitely energy fight a bit once she has the energy under her belt. It just takes a little bit to make that happen, but that's alright. This plane really benefits in during confrontation, for example, or in the old days in the 1 hour maps. That's almost a wet dream, right? Thinking about that, Jesus. 60 minutes of game time, those were the days. Now we have just 25 minutes these days, so you're gonna waste 5 to 7 minutes of side climbing in this plane, and then you're gonna be left with about 18 minutes to do your thing. And of course you don't want to get damaged and have to get back, because then you need more time to side climb. So yeah, it's unfortunate. The whole section of planes that are great at boom and zooming and not great at climbing, need a little bit of time to set up, are really hampered by that 25-minute timer that we have these days. It is what it is right now. I've made my point multiple times to Gaijin, trying to make them change their mind. They still have not changed their mind. I hardly think they ever will, because they always make their own decisions. I just try to, you know, fly the planes as they should be flown. I'm not gonna adjust my flight style because Gaijin is making foolish and stupid decisions. We're gonna stick to boom and zooming. We're gonna come in a little later, and if that means we're gonna take 5 kills and then miss the win because there's 2 enemy planes still alive and the timer runs out, then so be it. But use your planes correctly to the flight style that fit them. And this plane is a boom zoomer, which is great. The stopping power, the handling in the dive. Once you get the speed up and you have that altitude, you are almost untouchable if you use it correctly. And that is just a great feeling to fly this plane when you can get her into those positions. And that really requires a little bit of patience in the beginning. That's it. After that, you rule supreme in the Mustang P-51. The Cannon Stang, as they will used to call her back in the day. Probably still. That is her nickname, but I wonder how many people are left in the game from those old days. Still, I guess in my community here, there's still a lot of those old timers. Well, anyway, let's see what we get when we go back into this battle. We won't get anything more. That guy is shot down, and we get another 4-kill game. Leisurely, very nicely. We did get somebody in the beginning though, that was being mischievous, or how do you call them? Bulletproof, Terror of the Sky, 15,000 Silver Lions and 19,000 research points. Those Silver Lions are not quite correct due to the friendly kill we had to make. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Yeah, the friendly kill, I actually don't remember if it was in the clip or if I edited it out, but when people shoot at me consciously at the start of the match and multiple times, so that you know that it's not an accident, or when they shoot somebody else down, for me that's the only time where you can actually shoot down a friendly. I just shoot them down. I make time for that. I don't like the team killers, and if I find one at the beginning of the match, who either shooting at me or at somebody else, then they will meet their end, or at least I will try to have them meet their end. Anyway guys, this Mustang is a great plane at 3.3 battle rating. As I said, a little bit of side climbing. It does make you lose a little bit of those 25 minutes, that precious time, but you gotta set it up that way, because then you can experience the last 18 minutes with pleasure. And if you're low and slow in this plane, then it's not gonna be pleasurable to be long time in this plane. It's not great when people are diving at you and when you have turn fighters coming at you from above. That's just not where you want to be in the P-51. You don't have any bombs anyway, so just take that time to side climb. Please trust me, set it up, take the time, be patient, and then you come in and wreak havoc, kill and attack. Yes, that's what she's great at. Anyway guys, I really love the P-51. Don't let her lie on the waistlines. Use it, spade her, and have some fun in this plane. It's great. We'll give you a taste of the Mustangs, because later on there's more Mustangs to come and they're all fantastic. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.